WHTS. This is Randall Winter, and our guests again are Jeff Softly Electric, and Jeff Brown, NB Landscape. So, Jeff Brown, let's pick up on where we left off, would you please?
On selecting the right plant.
Yeah, let's get the right plant in there.
Let's just say you've factored in what plant zone you're in. You know it needs to be on the sunny or the shady side of the house, whether it's wet or dry, and you've already limited it down to exactly the plant that you want to put in. When you go to the nursery and you pick that plant out on here, hey, here's some good tips of just what to look for on here. First of all, when you go to the nursery, don't necessarily look for the biggest plant that's in the container. Let's just say you were going to buy a waxleaf privet, a common landscape plant that's here. If you see in a 1 gallon size that all the plants are basically, a foot, 14, 15 inches tall in the container, and then you see 2 of them in the back that are about 3 feet tall, I think a lot of retail clients are apt to go for this large, heavy.
They think they're buying bigger is better.
They're getting better, but really what you're getting is an overgrown plant that is likely to be root bound. And that means that the root system is compromised. And when it's compromised at a young age, it never outgrows it. So you're always looking at a plant that really may not do as well ever.
So maybe a dwarf when it's in the big earth, huh?
Well, it may not produce and it may not thrive.
Okay.
That's there. So you may think you're getting something, but I would look for something that is proportioned well, that looks like it's not too big of a plant growth for the size container that it's in there.
Well, that's a good tip.
That is a good tip.
Other things to look at that are in there is that just look at the plant. Take a look at the foliage. Do the leaves look bright? Do they look healthy? Do they look like they're vigorously growing? I would sooner pick one like that than I would that is going to be yellowed or some brown leaves and that are just, they might be alive, but they don't look so sharp. And when we buy plants, there are different grades of plant material, and different nurseries have different qualities of plant material. And we do buy the best A-grade plants that are out there, and it all makes a difference because we want performance. I want a beautiful...
you have to, when you do that, you have to stand behind yours just like I do.
We guarantee every one of our plants, every one of our sprinklers, every blade of grass, we do guarantee all those. And that's a lot where really the expertise does come in. That we can pick.
When I got my landscape license, I thought, well, I don't mind doing patios and barbecues and fireplaces outside, but I stayed away from the plants because you just have to know too much. It's kind of like electrical. You don't want to do something you can know enough to be dangerous, So what you're saying is great.
Yeah, and if homeowners go out there and they over and over put plants in and they're replacing them and they aren't satisfied and they don't look good, you've already paid enough to have a professional get out there and do it right. You really could have done it here. But I've got to just say, there are some fabulous gardeners out there, that people who've got a passion in it and they've wanted to study it. They've maybe gone through the Master Gardeners program and things like that. It's wonderful when you see that happens. Let me get back to also getting the right plant in the right place, because I think the homeowners want some more of those tips. Think about the soil that's here. We talked about the pH of the soil, and we talked about whether it was wet or dry. But I also want you to think about, is it a clay soil, is it loamy soil, or is it sandy? And all 3 of those are found in Santa Clarita. So depending on where you live, you might have a different soil. If you've got a clay soil, it tends to be very heavy, and it tends to retain moisture for a long time. If you're going to do planting in a clay soil, you'd follow the same kinds of tips and guidelines that I would do even in a sandy soil. I'd add organic compost. I like soil amendments in your soil. We put them in the clay soil to help break that soil up, to make it looser, more loam-like, where you see that dark, rich, friable soil. It's beautiful to use. It just seems like it's alive, and that's what we want. Well, we put it in the clay soil to help break it up and allow a little bit more air circulation in the soil, just get more oxygen into the soil. In the sandy soils, which we also have out here, we tend to put water in and it runs right through it. And if you put a plant that needs a lot of water in a sandy soil, you better amend it. Now, those same organic amendments will help retain moisture in the soil. So as important as it is in picking the right plant, you also have to make sure that you put in a lot of amendments into the soil to prepare it well. And that helps a lot.
And they'll help you pick that out if you tell them what type of soil you have, right?
You can tell them that you can tell them what soil. And I'll tell you, another hint might be is to take a photo of the area and bring them in and show them a photo of that area and see what it looks like. It'll give the nurseryman some insight what would be the best plant to put into that area. Otherwise, try and look for a psychic nurseryman.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
That's-
they just don't know what you have. But a
That's
photo
a
can
good-
help also.
Good point. Good point.
Now, when you're getting into fall, I often look at fall as being kind of like a second spring. It's a great time to plant. It's a great time to get out there. We've talked about vegetables in the past and all the gardening plants on here, but this is like a second spring. And you want to take advantage of this timing where it's not too hot, it's not too cold, and it's a perfect time to plant. I see Kyle signaling us that it looks like we're out of time.
Just about.
On this. We're just about out of time, but it's a great time to get out there and plant. So if you can do it, this is a wonderful time to get those plants in the ground right now.
Great. Thanks, Jeff Brown from NV Landscape, one of our experts in this valley when it comes to green. We're all envy of NV Landscape.
That's nice to hear. Thank you.
All right. And Jeff Softly, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
out again. We appreciate all your tips on safety and electrical and also on lighting and switching. That's great.
My pleasure.
Everybody, thank you very much. This is Randall Winter Construction on Santa Clarita, hometown station, 1220 KHTS.